Hi guys, welcome. Today I'm going to play around with a couple Bilt Hamber products. I've had these floating around here for a little while. One of the Mike Z sent me these, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, something like that. Just box happened to show up here, so I really appreciate that. He just said, you know, these are some products that I had floating around that I haven't used yet. Thought you might want to play around with them. And honestly, I intended on going to Bilt Hamber USA and buying a whole bunch of stuff because OG is bringing them in, and it's just been months and months and months and months and months, and really nothing has happened from it, while we've seen a lot of other brands get fully brought into the United States. And I don't understand why it's taken so long, but it is what it is. So I thought I would go through these. They're on my top shelf right now. My top shelf is normally like all of my Keep products. They're the only ones up there that are untested. So that made me want to go through them a little bit faster. And then obviously if some more Bilt Hamber stuff comes into the US, I'll test the full line at some point and I'll come back and talk about these products at that point. You have seen me use other Bilt Hamber products on my channel before. I have Traceless as a glass cleaner, which it's a great glass cleaner, but it's also a really great flamethrower. So if you do need to like light something on fire, if you just want to go camping, you know, something along those lines, you can shoot fireballs pretty far with a bottle of Traceless, which is super cool. I use touchless all the time. Touchless is my favorite pre-wash, and we're going to use touchless as well today. So the three products that I haven't used before: Auto-Wheel, Auto-Wash, and Auto-QD. Now, Auto-Wheel is a non-alcid, non-alkaline wheel cleaner, and it simply says to spray on, let dwell, rinse off. It doesn't really give you don't use this in sunlight and some of those other things that you normally see. It does say spray on, rinse off on the bottle and on the website, but then it looks like if you buy a 1 liter, they also send you a wheel brush, which I don't have the wheel brush. So I'm going to try agitating. I'm going to try not agitating it. We'll see how it works both ways. I have a Tolco sprayer on here because I don't have the original sprayers that would have come with this. Bilt Hamber does do a good sprayer. It's pretty similar to this. This is a Clean Tool sprayer actually that's on here right now. It's very similar to this in the look and feel. It is a white sprayer. It's got a longer tube for the taller bottles. I have them on my Traceless. I'm very familiar with them. They're not adjustable. They are on off. They have a good spray pattern. They work well and they don't fail. They're not my favorite sprayer. I like the Spray Plus sprayers the best for all of the OEM style sprayers. Those are these. That's a Spray Plus sprayer. And these come with a lot of other lines like Labo and CarPro and Armor and, you know, a bunch of others. So not my favorite sprayers in the world, but they are pretty good. Once we use the Auto-Wheel, test that out, we're going to try out the Auto-Wash. So Auto-Wash is a bucket wash product, and it's designed to be diluted 2,000 to 1. So they say that you can put 5 milliliters of that in your bucket and still get really good soap. So they're saying 5 milliliters, they're assuming that you're gonna have 10 liters of water. And for those of us in the United States, 10 liters is right around 2.5 gallons of water. So you know, if you've got a 5-gallon bucket and you want to fill it completely, you're putting about 10 milliliters in here, which is about 1/3 of an ounce. I think it's like 29 milliliters in an ounce, something thereabouts. Because they don't say anything about using it in a foam cannon, because 2,000 to 1 is a very, very small dilution. And like I said, because they don't say anything about using it in a foam cannon, I'm not going to. I'm instead going to start off with touchless. So we will foam with touchless, we will rinse that off, then we will use the Auto-Wash as a bucket wash, and we'll see how that works. Auto-QD is their quick detailer or drying aid or rinse aid or whatever you want to call it. They give you a variety of dilutions on their website, everything from 1 to 1 all the way to, I think it's like 1 to 20 or 1 to 50, something like that, like some crazy dilutions. Today we're going to try it straight, and then we'll probably do 1 to 1 if we run into any streaking issues. It says on the bottle here that if you're looking for the maximum amount of gloss, although the product can be used neat for maximum gloss protection and cleaning, it may be difficult to obtain a streak-free finish, as usually mixed 50-50 with water. They recommend 50-50 for like a waterless wash or, you know, something along those lines, and then they go up from there for like clay lubes and rinseless style products. So we'll test it out, we'll see how it works, and we'll go from there. This Griot's cannon has touchless already in it. We should have a metering tip in here already, and we should have around a 2% panel impact ratio. Let me see. Yes, I do have one in here. So we're good to go on that. This is just my ready to go. So this is filled straight with touchless. There's no dilution in here at all. And we're using a metering tip that's going to get us right around a 2% PIR. So for me, that's a purple metering tip. It's slightly less than that. I think it's like 1.78 or 1.85 or something along those lines to 1. I forget what it was when I tested it, but this works really well. And this bottle will last me like dozens of cars because, you know, it's straight touchless. So I just fill this off a gallon. Gallons, I don't know, it's around here somewhere. It's over there in that cabinet. Fill this up off a gallon and just spray it neat. This is my 2015 GLK 350. It has a set of new speed wheels on it. The wheels are new, the car is not. I've had these on here for, I don't know, 7,000 miles at this point, something like that. These have a lot of nooks and crannies that make a touchless style wheel cleaner really nice, because it's a pain to get into all of these little spaces. There's like this lip around behind this, and anyway. So we are seeing some pretty immediate color changing. This does obviously contain an iron breaker. It definitely smells like it contains an iron breaker. It's not that like punch you in the back of the throat scent, but it's not pleasant. It definitely smells like that sodium glycolate or whatever the heck it's called that breaks down iron. So we are seeing, you know, purple runs, really dark. I'm going to spray the front wheel as well. So we've let it dwell for a little bit. I'm starting to see some drying on the edges. Let's rinse this off and see how it did. Honestly, pretty nice. Barrel's like completely clean. Came out great. Wow. Very surprised. I'm not surprised because Bilt Hamber doesn't make great stuff. I'm just surprised because normally using a wheel cleaner without agitation doesn't yield the best results. So let's try this one. I know I said I was going to pull a brush out, but let's see how it does. Front wheels are always worse than the backs. I'm obviously using a ton of product, but let's see how it works. Let this sit and dwell for a minute. You can see we've got that dark purple running off. Lots of brake dust just coming right off the car. The whole brake disc is purple. It's been about the same time we let the back one dwell, so let's try it again. Now, these wheels are coated. They have Diamond Protex wheel coating on it. Yeah, look, again, inside the barrel. My fingers are clean. That's pretty sweet, honestly. A little bit on the back side here. Some of these spaces that I didn't wash at all, right? The back of the spokes, but dang. That's honestly pretty impressive. All right, so like I mentioned, I have touchless at a 2% PIR, and we're just going to foam the whole car. We'll see how this does. We already know it does great, so. So I will say, even with like 5 mLs in here, there's a ton of soap. Holy crap. Try this on a wet panel, no streaks. On glass, no streaks. Dry glass, no streaks. Wet glass, no streaks. Hood in the sunlight, light streaking. So, in my opinion, you want to use this either on a wet panel or diluted, like they recommend 50-50 with water, something along those lines. Because on a dry panel, it works fine out of the sun. But if you give it a second to sit in the sun, it will streak. And then if we come back with a wet towel, we can pull those streaks out. That was fairly interesting. So the Auto-Wheel is seriously impressive. Spray it on, rinse it off, did a fantastic job. You saw there's like nothing left on the wheels when I was done, even without any agitation. I'd be interested to see how it works diluted and how it works maybe foamed. It's really expensive. So a 1 liter bottle this size is like $35 from Carzilla. It's like $70 on Amazon actually. So I'm assuming that the prices are going to come down once OG gets them in the United States and starts carrying the whole line, but who knows? I guess we'll see as time goes on. So yeah, seriously impressive wheel cleaner. Didn't really seem to do anything for the tires. It seemed to only really care about the wheels, but honestly, it did a really, really good job. I'm not normally one who cares about cost effective. It's not very cost effective at you running it straight. That's tremendously expensive in the United States. Now it's not that way in Europe. It's like 16 euros for a 1 liter there. So, you know, it's more about the bringing them into the country and the transportation that we have to deal with here as Americans. And it's probably the same thing on the other side. You know, if you're in Europe and you want to use something like Detail Co. Wheel Wash, you know, I can get it really inexpensively here, but it's pretty expensive over there, right? So after that, we went to our touchless. Now, I did make a mistake in this video, and I want to call it out. So I, for a long time, had a 1 liter of touchless that was sitting here on the shelf, and that 1 liter of touchless is the new touchless. So they reformulated touchless, meaning they changed the concentration. So the new touchless requires a 2% PIR. The old was a 5% PIR. I, for a long time, have been using the new touchless because I had a 1 liter bottle that I bought from OG when it came out. It's part of a giveaway, and it's just been sitting here on my shelf. I ran through that and I refilled this off of my gallon, and my gallon is in there. And my gallon is the old touchless, and I didn't realize that. So I'm running a 2% PIR, but I really need a 5. So I really should have a lot more touchless in here. So I'm gonna have to fix that for future videos, but it just kind of is what it is. That's why you didn't see a ton of foam. Usually you'll get more out of touchless than that. That being said, I still had great breakdown. I still had a lot of the dirt came right off, the bugs were gone, you know, all of that. Touchless works really well, even the new stuff, between 1% and 2%. So, you know, running a 2% of the old is like a 3/4% of the new. So it's really not that bad, but I should have had about double the amount of soap coming out of my cannon. And, you know, honestly, that was a mistake that I made. And when I'm spraying it out, I realized it. And, you know, at that point, it's like, well, the car's wet and covered in soap. I'm not going to fix it now. So touchless is something I've reviewed many times before. I've talked about it a lot. I really do like the product. It's my favorite, you know, spray on, rinse off, pre-soap. I highly recommend it. It works really well. The auto wash is something new. I'm not a big fan of bucket washes. It's not part of my process. I don't normally do bucket washes. I normally do a foam on and then I, you know, go over it with my mitt. This is specifically a bucket wash product and they give you directions to put it in a bucket. So I went through that method. I will say that even at the 2,000 to 1 they recommend, I had an insane amount of foam in the bucket. Like I could not believe it. So obviously it works really well. It's super concentrated. I think that I would probably be more of a fan of auto foam rather than auto wash. One thing that's interesting about this is it has no scent whatsoever, like nothing. It smells like water. And it says right on their sites, does not contain any dyes, any perfumes, anything. It's just a soap, right? So it works well if you're looking for something no frills. That is going to be a highly efficient, very inexpensive product to use to wash your car on a regular basis. I do want to test out auto foam at some point because I think that I'll like that a little bit better. It's more of like a regular foam shampoo that you would use with a mitt and foam on, use your pad, and then rinse it off kind of thing. Auto QD, I liked this. I don't think it's my favorite of all of the quick detailers, but it did work very well. It to me feels like, which is the Mafra line, their detailer. In the sun, it needs to have some wet or some dilution. If you're doing it even on a white vehicle like this, on my hood, I was able to get streaking in the sun on dry panels. But on wet panels in the sun or on dry panels outside of the sun, I didn't really have any problems with either one of those, even running it straight. Now that being said, they say 50-50 right on the bottle. They also give you a bunch of other dilutions on their website, so you can run this much more diluted. I like slickness and I like gloss, so that's why I ran it the most, the neat, as they would call it, the most concentrated version that I could possibly do. I wanted to see how that worked, and I wanted to, just get an idea for how the product performs. Overall, really happy with it. It's got a great scent to it. I didn't really talk about that, but it's like a fruity scent. It smells great. This is a clean tool sprayer, but theirs, like I said, are very similar. Their sprayers are great. It worked well for applying a drying aid product or a wet rinse aid, whatever you want to call it, quick detailer style product. It worked really well. So all in all, 3 really solid products from Bilt Hamber, 4 really solid products, although touchless didn't get a fair shake in this particular video. Many of my other videos, you can see touchless being used in its normal way. So I think that these are 3 really good products. I am going to play around with Auto-Wheel a little bit more, see if I can make it foam, see if I can run it at a lower dilution and still have it be effective. As it sits, I would probably still give the edge to Yum. Well, first off, Yum is a lot less expensive in the United States, and then also Yum foamed does really well. So we'll see how this does foamed and we'll go from there. But yeah, super solid. I'm excited about the rest of the line. Renewed excitement in Bilt Hamber for me. I've always liked their products. I've always liked touchless. I've always liked traceless. Although traceless I feel is a little too strong for some situations. It works very, very well. And trying some of these other products and seeing how great they are makes me excited about them. I will say that I think I was a little turned off from the line originally because OG only carries 2 products and said that the rest of them weren't really worth putting in the OG line. So, I wanted to be open-minded, try these out for myself, see how they are, and go from there. And I'm not disappointed. One thing to note, and I didn't mention it in the video earlier, is these are anti-corrosive. So a lot of the Bilt Hamber products are anti-corrosive or contain anti-corrosive properties, which are designed to help to prevent rust and leave like a metal coating or something like that that's left behind where it's trying to do rust prevention. So that is really nice as well. It's something that a lot of brands don't say that they have or do. Most of their stuff is sugar-based, and sugar-based is supposed to be safer for the environment, so I like that as well. You know, their products work really, really well. We just need to be able to get them here a little bit more economically, I think. And I'm not the guy that ever talks about money, so coming from me, I know. Thank you for stopping by today. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you're having a great weekend.